Welcome back, Cardboard Warriors. How's everybody's day going out there? Hope you're having a fun time with your magic stuff in your neck of the woods. Let me know how things are going in your area lately. I've got a collection here that I bought a long time ago and haven't been able to do a video on it. These cards have just been sitting in these couple boxes for a while, and I really need to get them sorted into my main collection here. So I need to do a video on this. I've been procrastinating. It was like a 26,000 card collection, but it was all bulk. So it was actually a guy that him and his wife do a lot of flipping here in town on eBay, and somebody owed him some money and gave him like this huge collection of magic boxes for some money that he owed him. And he finally got sick of them taking up a bunch of space in the closet, and he doesn't play, the kids don't play or anything, so he wanted to sell them. Reached out to me from one of my ads on Craigslist, I believe, and I ended up going over there. He had originally wanted like 400, I think, for the collection. When we go over there, and it's just stacks of like 5,000 count boxes, and we start going through them and realize it's all bulk. It's all commons, uncommons for the most part. So I was like, yeah, it's all bulk. We weren't finding. We actually did go through quite a bit of it. A lot of it was Kamigawa, original Kamigawa block. There's like two 5,000 count boxes that were just champions and betrayers and saviors commons. And so most of the collection was commons. Now, some of those commons are worth some decent money, so I ended up doing really good on it. I ended up, he wanted a bunch of stuff in trade, a bunch of like Star Wars and Transformers toys and stuff like that. So I ended up doing a partial trade and probably ended up paying about $250 for the collection. And I knew that there was one Ristic Tutor, or Ristic Study. What is it? Ristic Study. I knew there was one Ristic Study in the collection that he knew, and he had looked up and knew it was valuable. He's like, some of these commons are worth like $40. And I was like, when I got there and I saw the Ristic Study, I'm like, yeah, that common's worth around $40, but we don't know how many is going to be in here. You know, so I had no idea what I was going to find, but I ended up finding a lot of good stuff. So sometimes buying bulk boxes works out in your favor. So we're going to kind of go through some of the stuff, and then we'll talk about how much I actually got in here. Did pretty good. But anyways, check out the description below while we're going through this stuff, or when we're done going through this stuff. There's a lot of good links down there. Save you money, get you cash back on all your magic purchases. Stuff you're going to buy anyways, it will get it for cheaper, or you'll get cash back on it for free. Free money. I like money. Anyway, so this collection, I'm going to kind of start, we're just going to go pretty quick through some of the commons and stuff, but I'm going to show you where you actually get some good money out of these early collections here. Well, because it was all old school. So we'll do this. All right, so big stack. So there's just some basic stuff like there was some, I guess these are Renaissance, I believe. I wasn't playing with this that came out, but I think this is from the Renaissance set. Spike Feeder and an old spell book, and then there was a little bit of portal stuff in there. There was a stack that we didn't see when we were looking through them at his house, full of really old cards that we didn't know about. So he was happy with the deal at the end of the day, and I ended up being happy after I went through everything. I was a little concerned when I bought it. I was like, this is a lot of money to spend on commons. And there was only like one box, 1,000 count box that had uncommons in it. So I was a little worried, but it turned out all right. So got a Virtue's Ruin from original Portal, Drift of Phantasms from Ravnica, a Devoted Druid from Shadowmoor, I think. Old White Knight from Revised, and Still Energy from Revised. And then here's where we really kind of just hit it out of the park. Like I said, there was a lot of original Kamigawa stuff, and I thought it had all been searched and all that, and it probably was, but it's probably been quite a few years since it was searched. He had that collection sitting at his house for a few years, and the guy he got it from, I think, had it sitting at his house for a few years. Nobody really went through it or anything. So Lava Spike from Champions of Kamigawa. When I went through this collection, which was a few months ago, this was like a $3.80 card or something like that it was showing. And there was so much of this Kamigawa stuff, I actually ended up with 99 copies of it. So this one little common ended up paying for the whole collection. So yeah, see, keep going, keep going. 99 copies of just Lava Spike was just incredible. When I saw that, I was like, whoa, $4 for this common almost, and there's 100 of them in here. See, we're still going. That's a lot of Lava Spikes. There we go. So 100 Lava Spikes. So that one little common paid for the whole collection. Now, odds are when you buy bulk, you're not going to get 100 copies of Lava Spike. It just happened that whoever like bulked this collection out years and years and years ago, Lava Spike hadn't spiked. Yeah, see what I did there? Hadn't spiked yet, so it was probably still like under $1 at the time, so they didn't pull it out. So because there is a lot of commons and uncommons that were pulled out that were valuable many years ago that I didn't get any of, but I guess this one went up since they sorted out this collection. So I got 100 of those in this collection because there's, like I said, 2 5,000 count boxes of just Kamigawa. And then, of course, there's a couple dollar Desperate Ritual in that set as well. And we got like 90 something of those as well. So the Kamigawa boxes actually kind of sucked to sort out because they were literally, it looked like a store's mass box opening. They were all in order by how they would have come out of the packs. So I had to do a lot of sorting on this. And we're still going, still going, still going. There we go. So there's probably like 80 or 90 Desperate Rituals there, which I love Desperate Rituals. Such a great card. I was playing real heavy standard every weekend when the Kamigawa block came out, and then of course the Onslaught block after and all that, or right before it, or whatever. And Desperate Ritual was such a good ramp card in standard. And then the splice onto Arcane too, with Storm. We were doing some crazy Storm decks back then. I loved that card for the Storm decks. I wish that wasn't banned in Modern and all that now, because it's such a good card. But anyway, so those two cards alone just absolutely killed it on this collection. And then there's, of course, you know, just all these cards that are like dollar cards, like Kadoma's Reach and stuff that, again, we got like 100 of, or close to, like 80 to 100 of most of these commons from Champions, because there was 2 boxes with just Champions. Like I said, I think it was a store that had done a mass box opening on the Champions block and just took all the stuff out, and they literally just pulled the rares out of the packs and the uncommons out of the packs. So the commons were actually in order of how they come out of the packs. After I got done sorting those 2 5,000 count boxes, I pretty much knew, like halfway through the second box, I could tell which card was coming next in the pack because they were literally just, somebody opened the packs, pulled the rares and uncommons out, and then put them in the box. Open the next pack, pull the rare and uncommons out, put them in the box. So unfortunately, I didn't get all the uncommons from this set, because that would have been amazing if there was like 100 Sensei's Divining Tops or 50 Sensei's Divining Tops in there. That would have been amazing, but there wasn't. So we got stacks of Secure Tribe Elders, of course. Yeah, more of that. Most of it is, as you can see, most of it is all Champions block, or the original Kamigawa block, Champions, Betrayers, and Saviors. Just tons and tons and tons of that. And so here, like Betrayers, one of the Shinobis, but only a couple of the more expensive cards from like Betrayers, Ninja the Deep Hours. There's only 3. These Shinobis, only like 5 of those. So not as much Betrayers as there was Champions. But you see there was a lot of like Kamiya False Hopes from Betrayers, which is like $1 card or $2 card or something. And then here's another big one from Saviors. We got a bunch of Freed from the Reels. So that one apparently hadn't gone up yet. There wasn't as much Saviors. There's only probably a couple thousand Saviors. So not as much of that, but there's still, you know, quite a few of these couple dollar, you know, $1, $2 commons and stuff. But there was a lot of the block before that as well, the Mirrodin block. So we got a lot of Fifth Dawn stuff, and it's like some tons of Serum Visions here, which is like $1 or $2 card, couple dollar card. So it all adds up at the end of the day. So a lot of Serum Visions in there. And then like Stealth Suits, couple dollar card, you know. Wayfarers Baubles were a couple bucks at the time. I think they've reprinted that a couple more times. Then there was just a couple random, like a Blasting Station in there, which is a pretty valuable uncommon from 5th Dawn. And a lot of the artifact lands. Too bad they're banned, because they made Affinity just absolutely rock back in the day. I remember when the original Mirrodin block came out, I built this Ravager Affinity deck that was just unbelievably fun to play. Like turn 3 or 4, I was coming at you with like a 2020 Ravager. It was just a blast. And of course, Thoughtcast, another big Affinity card. So, and there's somebody had gone through and packaged up, like I think there's 10 or 12 Thoughtcasts in one sleeve there. There's a bunch of those that I kept coming across. Unfortunately, most of them weren't valuable cards, but I got a bunch of these pre-packed, like they cramped a dozen of them in one sleeve type thing. Seething Song, another one of my favorite just mana ramp cards in red. Great for Storm. So good for Storm. A few of those. Got some Lightning Greaves, some Talismans, some Skull Clamp, a couple Whisper Soak Cloaks, a bunch of those from Dark Steel. Yeah, so there was a lot of the, it was mostly bulk, but it was mostly this bulk from these older sets, which actually were something. So we had a bunch of Onslaught block stuff, so there's a lot of Onslaught, Legions, and Scourge. So as you can see there, a bunch of the Reaping the Graves, and then the Carrion Feeders were like a buck or two each from Scourge, and Vengeful Dread was like a buck, I think. So a lot of just $1, $2 cards, but they added up at the end of the day, you know, to make a pretty awesome Brightstone Ritual, another good red ramp card if you're running goblins. Well-Wishers from Onslaught. You know, it's like not having the uncommons and rares, because that's where all the real value's at in these older sets. But at the end of the day, we did really, really good. We got a lot of old cards that I had gotten rid of in my collection when I sold it back in 2008. Explosive Vegetation, Chain of Smog, Anger. We got some Torment, some Acorn Harvests. Yeah, a bunch more Acorn Harvests. There was a lot of Torment in there for some reason. Not as much Onslaught or Judgment, but a lot of Torment, which is nice because that's a set that I just tend to have trouble coming across. Some Odyssey, some Careful Studies, some Moment's Peace. So some Plane Shift, Sunscape Familiars, more Plane Shift with the more familiars there. So a lot of it was just a lot of really good memory lane, you know, bulk stuff. But because it was all older stuff, you know, Hull Breaches for days, we did get a lot of value out of it. Some Terminates, some original Terminates in there. Only a playset, unfortunately. Terminates probably one of those cards that were pulling out, just missed a few. So a lot of this, that's what it seems like. It was definitely sorted by a store or something, and they just might have missed a few of the better ones when they were sorting out the packs. But there's still plenty of good old school commons and uncommons that they just haven't reprinted yet. That a lot of Mercadian Masks here, just stuff that I had, you know, tons of in my collection when I sold it, and now I, you know, when I go to find one of those cards for a deck or something, I don't have one anymore, and it's a bummer. So it's nice to come across a collection like this where I can get at least the commons and uncommons from back in the day that I took for granted and don't have anymore, and now I need them. Priest of Titania, one of the best elf cards ever printed. I mean, talk about ramp for 2 for a 1/1. Tap it to add green mana to your mana pool for each elf in play. It's crazy. Some Wood Elves. A lot of them there was a lot of these older cards you find in really rough condition in these old collections. I've got another collection I'm going to go through here that was really old school stuff, but it was kept in a shed, and most of them are ruined. Now, here's like another one of those like 10 packs of Culling the Weeks. Some Stronghold. So there was some older cards. Now we're getting into a little bit older stuff that I found in there. Again, just all commons and uncommons for the most part, but I think we did get a couple rares in the collection in the older stuff because I didn't have the rarity symbols, so whoever sorted those out didn't really know what they were looking for. But anyway, we did get a few like Aura of Silence, some Mind Stones, Elephant Grass, Summer Bloom from Visions, Prosperity, Desolation, Necromancy, some Mirage, some Alliances, some Homelands, Apocalypse Chime, cool card, Pyroblast from Ice Age. There's a lot of Ice Age. Seems like a lot of the collections I've been getting lately have a lot of Ice Age in them. Unfortunately, it's all beat up. Some Mystic Remoras, got a couple Urza's Baubles, Zern Orb, some Muddle the Mixture, Farseeks, Elves of Deep Shadow, some original Ravnica stuff. There was some weird, like, random, like, World Wake and Zendikar here and there. And then there's a lot of just randomness. Now we're going to get into the good stuff, the stuff you guys have been waiting for. We're getting closer. So we got a Changeling Titan. We did get some starter stuff, a couple Nature's Lores, and we got some Dark. We got Elves of Deep Shadow, Leviathan. We got a Brian Hag from Legends, Reflecting Mirror from the Dark, another Brian Hag. Oops, those should be together. And Italian Legends. There was a lot of Italian Legends. So the English Legends seemed like they were there like on Friday or Saturday or whenever they were released. I think it was Saturday back then. They were there, and then like a week later, we couldn't find Legends anywhere, but we kept coming across tons of Italian Legends, because I think, from what I understand, they printed like 10 times the amount of Italian Legends as they did English Legends for some reason. So Italian Legends are a lot more common and a lot less valuable. We got a Helm of Awakening from Visions. We got a Might Stone and a Mishra's War Factory and a Thought Power Leech from Antiquities. And then we actually did get an original Tron Land and Antiquities Urza's Tower, an Ashnod's Transmogritte, which I used to love back in the day. Now, with Power Creep, it's not that powerful, but back in the day, that was huge. Urza's Mitre, got a couple of those. We got a War Elephant, and we got a few original Abu Jafars from Arabian Nights, an Amulet, a couple Amulets from Antiquities, a Tawnos Wand from Antiquities, a Xenic Poltergeist, Martyrs of Corliss, Dwarven Weaponsmith, Psionic Entity. Now, this is all stuff that I did not see when we were kind of looking through the collection. I had no idea there was these old school cards in there, and that's where we really hit it big on those, because, you know, each one of those is worth a bunch. And then in the uncommons, there was a Worldly Tutor, which is nice, from 6th edition, another Psionic Entity, and then here's where we really nailed it. There was a lot more than one Rhystic Studies. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 Rhystic Studies. So that's where we really hit the home run on this collection. This put us around $1,000. So we quadrupled our money on the collection, because we got 16 $40 Rhystic Studies. So we ended up with over $1,000 in cards for, like I said, 250 plus a bunch of trade stuff. So, you know, I probably had like 150 into the trade stuff. So, yeah, about $400. So we more than doubled the money on this collection, and it's just so much bulk of just old school stuff. It was a blast to go through, because those were all sets when I was really playing heavily. I started at Revised. If you guys don't know my history, I started at Revised, stopped at Alliances, because a lot of my original friends quit playing after Ice Age because of the reprints. So a lot of the guys I got in the game and played with quit playing, and then there was like this whole new crew, and younger kids were getting in the game, and it was kind of a disaster for a few years after, you know, Fallen Empires and Homelands were just awful sets, and it brought in this whole new younger age group that was causing all kinds of problems at Magic Nights and stuff. So it wasn't the same. So I ended up taking a break for a while, and I didn't get back into Invasion when some of my friends actually that I had met played. Then we started playing again, and I got really heavy into it. And played really heavily competitive up until Lorwyn, and then just life got in the way, and I ended up selling my collection and getting out of the game, and didn't get back into it till Throne of Eldraine at the end of 2019. So that era there between like Invasion and Lorwyn is really got a soft spot in my heart. That's like some of my favorite era, because I was playing so heavily, and then I was building decks every day and just playing every weekend at tournaments, and back then Wizards of the Coast had this DCI ranking online. You could actually go in and log in and type in your DCI number, and you could see where you were ranked in like your county, and then your state, and then in the country, and then in the whole world. You know, you could actually see what your rankings were, and that was a lot of fun. And you did get some, like, I think they did end up doing prizes and stuff when you got to certain amount of points and whatnot for playing tournaments. I don't think I ever cashed in on any of those. I think I was just accumulating them and expecting to cash in on something huge, and never actually did. And then they stopped doing that, so because I stopped playing, and then they quit doing that after I stopped playing. So yeah, I played really heavy during this era. So all these cards were pretty much from that era, or from the two eras that I played in. Real early cards, there was like that little stack. It was just a little stack of vintage cards. I showed you 99% of them. There was maybe a couple that weren't worth anything that I didn't show you, from like Ice Age. Oh, there was a little stack of Ice Age that wasn't worth anything, I think. But I showed you all the cards from the Dark and Legends and Arabian Nights and Antiquities and stuff, those original sets. But you know, most of the cards was from that era when I was playing real heavy. So it was a fun kind of stroll down memory lane, and I did really well on, even though it was all bulk commons and uncommons. I was kind of sweating on the way home, like, oh god, did I just pay a ton of money for a ton of stuff I'm gonna waste my time going through and not get any value out of? But I ended up doing really good, because we found that pocket of heuristic studies in there. You know, I thought he had pulled out the one or two that he had found. I figured that was going to be all of them, but I ended up finding a whole pocket of them in there. So that just, when I saw that, I was like, all right, we're good. Anyways, I know this is a long video, but it was a really big collection. You know, 26,000 cards, I think it was, or roundabouts. And yeah, just stacks of big 5,000 count boxes. And they were heavy. It took us a while to load them up and get them home and unload them. But it was worth it. It was a lot of fun, and we ended up doing pretty good on it. So let me know if you guys have ever bought a bulk collection like this that was just commons, uncommons, but you still ended up doing good. Because you know, that's where it's crazy that you can do that, you know. So anyways, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next one.